So welcome everybody to another episode of the Brewmasters Club cast. Here is what you have to look forward to in tonight's episode.
Only 5 minutes into the podcast and we're already talking over each other.
Oh, jeez.
Do I have to open another can? What?
Oh, jeez. He
It
said
was a
clean
clean
take.
take.
God. Who wants to start off this evening? Okay, who was that?
I'm
there
gonna
is.
speak on behalf of the hot dog industry, and there in fact is no hot dog tax, but it's been talked about. Poor choice of words there.
Anyway,
Look, guys, I'm just trying to play catch up here.
Please, Ryan, don't relish in these bad jokes. Let's just continue moving.
Yeah, let's go back to what you've been saying.
Oh my God!
Trying to figure out how to put mustard into this, and
I
can't
don't know.
figure
I
it
was
out.
stuck on mustard too. I'm not sure why. Mustard's
Honestly,
a bad one to rhyme
guys,
with.
Ka-may.
Yes.
Ka-may.
Oh my God.
You crazy mother.
Welcome to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Sit back, pour yourself a pint, and let's get into it. Now here's the founder of the Brewmasters Club and your host, Donnie Gallagher.
Wow. Well, welcome, Craft Beer. How are you this evening? I, of course, am Donnie, joined this evening by Mr. Lausman. How are you, my man?
doing good, man.
Not only Mr. Lausman, but Mr. One Brewed A Boy. How are you, sir?
I'm alive and kicking, as they say.
That's
I
good.
don't know who they are, but they say it.
They sound great. Yeah, maybe you should ask them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure.
We're doing great.
Ladies
We're
and
doing
gentlemen,
great.
we are. That's good, Ryan. We are trying a different format, a different way to record this show, and hopefully the audio fidelity comes through on that. So we appreciate everybody out there hanging with us and listening, but I'm not going to waste much time, boys. We should kick off our favorite segment, most famous segment. What are you drinking? What are you going to drink? Boys, who wants to start off this evening? Okay, who was that? You just won.
We can't see anybody anymore. So I'll go
Well,
ahead.
well,
and
wait,
kick it off.
before you get into
Oh,
it,
go ahead. Go.
Previously, we were
on
recording off of audio.
So-
Do I have to open another can? What?
Oh, jeez. He
It
said
was a
clean take. God.
Yeah, you don't have to open another one because you can put it back in. Oh God, this is off the rails already.
No, what Laos was trying to say as we were talking over each other, in an effort to prevent talking over each other, we switched to a new recording format. But let's just leave that
Was that
as
a
it
fake?
is.
No,
I
hold
don't
on.
know.
He just
Hopefully,
did a fake bottle open.
No,
Did
I said it's real
Oh,
low. I was
no,
like,
it sounded like a fake can open.
I was with you, Ron.
because I was going to say it's only 5 minutes into the podcast and we're already talking over each other.
Ah, jeez. Well, okay. The point of the story is that we were trying to avoid that by switching to a new format. Who the fuck cares? Whatever. Ryan, go ahead.
It's so
Good
I
God.
I brought to the table tonight my favorite halftime beer. When I say that, I mean it. Every time it's halftime and I'm at O'Brien's Irish
Do
Pub.
you mean half
or-
the time or every time?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just
but-
trying to follow the story.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse anybody out there. Every half time during a football game,
Yeah,
there's a
I'm
halftime.
only halfway following.
Half of the time.
Wow, I got to be careful how I say. Half of the time of every
It works
half.
60%
Half the
of the
time
time.
of all
Exactly,
time. Got it.
50%.
Okay.
It's the
Got
cream
it.
and sugar, please, from Cycle Brewing, and I love this beer. It's just an amazing ale brewed with coffee and lactose. That's all I can really describe it as. And every time I get it, it's not too sweet. It's just the right amount of lactose on it and just the right amount of coffee to balance it out. And I bought it the other day and I love it. And they just came out some really cool cans. I don't know if you've seen them. But they're really funky and different colors and all that stuff. It's pretty crazy. So that's what I'm drinking tonight.
Oh, it sounds good. I've definitely seen the beer before, but I don't think I've ever had it.
This one, I can't describe it any more than it fits my my palate perfectly for me. So yeah. What about you guys? What are you drinking? Oh, go ahead.
Like, it sounds like a lot of people like might actually really enjoy that, but there's a select few people that would be like, so not a beer drinker, allergic to lactose. This is definitely not for you. Like, and there's one small genre who's like, oh,
Yeah.
That's true. Some people are lactose intolerant. I'm lactose very tolerant.
I like
Then
it.
you would do well with this beer.
I don't not do well.
I do
with
even
many
better
beers,
with many
but
beers.
We've had that
Truth.
discussion before. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you're right. I actually do really well with the 8 to 10 range. 11 through 15 tends to brown out. Lausman, I did want to cut you off, but I am drinking my Belgium, the Pike's.
What?
Oh, wait, take two. I forget what it's called. It's the Pike's. It's like Pike's Triple Belgium. It's a Triple Belgium that I built. Jesus, it's the Triple Belgium that I brewed, and it's delicious. And Lost Man, Ryan, you weren't there, but actually, when Dane was in town for his birthday party, we had a bottle of this, and it was fantastic, and it's still fantastic. Every one I've had so far has been incredible.
I wish I could see it.
Why?
I don't know.
I actually have a bottle for you, so I have
You
one
do?
squirreled away, and it's saved, and it's still in the
Awesome.
closet actually, so it's not even being chilled yet. It's literally untouched and ready for you. But Lossman, you may not remember it, but this beer, I'm telling you, it came out looking like a perfect Belgium. The foam, the head, it's totally there. It's a nice, it's a nice hazy.
It's yummy.
It's not super clear, or super dark, or super cloudy, but it's got enough banana and nut. It's really a good drinking Belgian, and it's very potent, I thought. But Lossman, you tried it. What'd you think?
I thought it was extremely smooth. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's probably one of the better Belgians that I've had.
And that's you said that's one you brewed?
Yeah, I brewed it using the Pico.
Awesome.
And it's a clone recipe, and the reason I was blanking on it here, I'll look it up now. Actually, I'll look it up while Laos is chatting about his, but it's really good, and I think it's like a 6.7 or 7.2 ABV.
Awesome.
But it wasn't overly boozy. It smells like. Okay, so compared it to the the Unholy, which is my favorite Belgium, triple of all time. It's not the same because it's not as sweet, it's not as refined, it doesn't have the sharp edges. It has just this homebrew kind of. It's a good homebrew. I don't know, but it's very good. So
I can't wait to try that, man. That sounds awesome.
Like I said, I got one for you, so I'll definitely save it. But Lost Man, what do you drink tonight? And I'll look it up while you're going through what you got.
So I kind of have a rando that I've never. Okay, so full disclosure, there was a lot of traffic on my way home. I was like, from work today, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to swing by wherever and get some lunch or get some dinner. And right next to the place I got dinner, there was a tiny little like beer liquor place. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll pop in there and see if they have anything neat. And then I was literally there for maybe 4 minutes. And I go, first thing I saw that was interesting, I was like, okay, I'll take it. Bye. And then bought it and left. And it is an IPA called, I was actually, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yep, I have to get it. And this is out of I guess, recognition of Dane. It is called the Green Man Trickster IPA. And it's actually from a brewery in Asheville, North Carolina. So also pretty much right in Dane's wheelhouse. But
Dane is a trickster, by the way.
Well, and it's the Green Man Trickster IPA. I don't need to get too far into that, but
that's real solid.
Oh yeah, no, and it's actually really, really good. 76 IBU, 7% ABV, and I don't know if they make smaller cans, but this one was a 16 ounce, so I got a 4-pack of these, and it's just really smooth. It has juicy Simcoe, Mosaic, and El Dorado hops.
Simcoe, nice.
I do like the juicy IPAs. I know they kind of became like a thing, I guess, over the last year, but
I like it a lot.
I think they'll stick around. They're pretty good. Most of the ones I've had, they're just IPAs that are just like a little bit more hearty and a little bit more. I wouldn't say drinkable. They're just like juicy. That's it.
Because it's juicy.
Yeah,
really.
That's pretty good. Well, speaking about beer that's purely amazing, and by the way, for the record, it was Pike's Monk Uncle Triple is the beer that I actually brewed, and it's very good. Again, I think it comes from the Pacific Northwest, so it's kind of just a way out there. We never would have got it in Florida, and just like what we're about to talk to here, or talk about here, we never would have saw the beer if I didn't brew it. So, all good, love it. But Ryan, I wanted to ask you specifically because you and I were chatting this afternoon about the Resilience IPA, and we had a bit
Yes.
of some news, just minor news about it. But it was funny because you had texted me that, and without even communicating to you, I got an email from Sierra Nevada. And it was basically a
Really?
thank you email for everybody participating and some instructions on how to submit the funds and you can give back your donations. And so I went on there. I threw him a couple bucks just to say thanks, and we were we were thinking of you guys again, uh, knowing that my Resilience IPA will not be even tasted until Florida Craft Beer Day, which is about 30 days from now. So mine's got a way to go, and I'm going to bring some other beers for Florida Craft Beer Day. But you gave me a Resilience IPA update from Brew, so I'd love you to share that if you can.
Yes. With the amazing efforts of everyone, we were able to contribute I think, a big heart and a small amount of money to the tune of $250 to the relief effort. So, I'd like to thank everybody that came out and supported that cause, in our community, and look forward to just feeling good about helping in a small way. Even if it was a small donation, it still goes a long way to help somebody in need. So I thought that
I
was pretty
totally
cool.
agreed. And like, what can you say if like you were either a first responder who was injured or affected by it in any way, or you lost your home or your stuff or your family or your pets or your livestock or whatever it may be? And I won't go
Yep.
down too far down the rabbit hole, but just to read a couple lines from the email that they sent out, because this came right out from the Grossman family, Ken, Sierra, and Brian, who are the people responsible for Sierra Nevada. So
hmm
they basically just said, "Hey, it's been a whirlwind project, and we say that lightly. Thanks again, not only to our partnership, but for supporting, Butte County community, and also for your patience as along the way. We've been overwhelmed by the outpouring support from you, and even though we keep saying it, we can't say it again. Thank you so much. They're honored to call all of us their community and their friends. Now to the nuts and bolts. So they've been sorting out a bunch of stuff, and they talked about how to donate the funds. Essentially, if you are just listening and you want to contribute, um, just look up the Golden Valley Bank Community Foundation, and you can donate through there. So there's several ways to do it, but I went ahead and sent them an email back with some information, made a small donation, and then told them that our funds from Brew are on the way. So hats off to you again, Ryan, for and the local Florida hop growers.
Gus, Duke and Austin, and of course Mike Vetter out at Vetter Brew. So for donating the grains.
I mean, it's. I'll forward you this email. It's not much, but
Please, I'd
it's
love to see it.
very genuine. You can just tell that this is a. I mean, Sierra Nevada is no small company, and
No,
the personality that comes through and the actual, the just emotion that comes through this email is great. So I'll send it out there. But again, thank you everybody who supported us and came out there, shared any of this, all of this, talk to your local brewery. If you heard it here and did anything, we appreciate you too. So that's all I would say
absolutely.
about that.
I think it's awesome, man.
Well,
Definitely.
like I said, we still have the Resilience that I brewed that we'll be passing out for free on Florida Craft Beer Day. So join us at Craft Life on February 15th, where we give away our beer, my beer, the Resilience, my version of the Resilience for free. There. So we'll see you guys on the 15th.
Excellent.
Well, that's great, guys. Thanks a lot for that, Ryan, again, and for everybody out there listening. The next story is still dealing with this government shutdown BS. Are you guys familiar with this? I hope so.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Extremely annoying. So Did you guys hear about this? Yes, the breweries are stuck in limbo as the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau remains closed as part of the government shutdown. Ryan, I thought this would be interesting for you because I know how involved you are. At least you pay attention more so to politics than I do.
Wait,
Maybe not.
Yeah, did you just let out a little bit of air from a balloon?
I've been staying informed yet unspoken
Okay.
about
About letting air out of balloons?
politics.
Oh, no, sorry.
On this podcast, we're asking you to speak just a little bit.
Okay, so what's the scoop? What's the story? Where are
The-
we
well,
at
the
in this whole government shutdown?
Well, the scoop, no, the big scoop is that when the Alcohol and Tobacco, I keep saying it wrong, Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau shuts down as part of the government shutdown.
Mhm.
You can't get your new beers reviewed, approved, and passed
Correct.
through. So some breweries rely, and there's a couple in this article were from Maine, from Idaho, from San Diego, but the shutdown basically causes them to take their first few weeks, months, possibly of beers and not be able to launch them to the public, to the general public, which causes. I think one of the breweries said it was about 60% of their general revenue that comes in for the year is these brand new beers that start. And because their schedules are built out, and we've reviewed this before, where Sierra Nevada's launching this in June and that in March and this in January. I mean, there's all sorts of schedules they have to keep these beers flowing. One brewery of Krebs Brewing Company, which I don't know where they're at exactly. They must be Maine or it's one of the breweries that listed, but they have 500 barrels of beer that's just sitting in the tanks waiting for the government shutdown to be approved so that they can actually be passed, bottled, and distributed, which is a problem, right? If you're Johnny Small Guy that's trying to do this to make a living, I mean, it sucks.
Well, so I guess the question that I haven't researched enough the answer for is it just new beers? Like if I've brewed a different version of a stout and it's now an oyster stout and then I'm waiting to get approved, or is it, hey, these have been fermenting, we've brewed this beer before 1,000 times over and I can't get that approved? I guess that's where I'm kind of at least questioning that's my first biggest question before I continue my
No, that's it. Yeah,
response.
that's a good question. No, what it is, and I've read it. Like I said, I read a couple articles about this. It's basically any new beer that you intend to launch is stopped until it gets through the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau.
So if you haven't brewed it before, good luck.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
They're all
they're
innovation.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
it
they're
was,
innovation
yeah.
brews. They're not like
Right.
stuff they've already had.
Right. Okay. And I figured that's what it was because I mean, we still see beer on the shelves, so there's no shortage of beer coming up.
No, it's just the new stuff.
That'd be terrible.
But
people would go crazy if that was the case.
But imagine if you had, a monumental release or something that was significant coming out at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. That would be really...
like even the Resilience IPA. If that would have been released 2 weeks prior or 2 weeks after, we'd be stuck in that same boat with that trying to.
They've got to have a loophole with that one, only because they sent that recipe out across the nation. People are just brewing it, you and I included. So
you never know.
Yeah, you don't. You're right. You don't know. I don't know how that works, but it sounds confusing. So who knows?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is, again, we should applaud everyone in the craft beer industry, hell, just in the beer industry in general, right now for pushing through, because I think, we always see the beer coming from the tap into the glass into our mouth, right? That's all we really see. We're never really conscious about all the behind the scenes inner workings, how the truck gets from one location to another to deliver, how the beer is made. We never think about those things. So now we're seeing, there's a stoppage on this because the government's shut down and people can't get things approved. And this guy's got 500 barrels just sitting, in the tanks because he can't distribute it. All those other things and challenges that craft beer industry is already overcoming with 3-tier and this and the other. And now we see there's another step, which I don't think to this day we've talked about the Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau on this podcast.
No.
The last 85
No,
episodes.
we haven't.
Maybe I'm
no,
wrong.
we haven't.
We've never even thought that was a factor, right? We just assume, oh, alcohol's approved. Once you get your liquor license, your beer license, whatever, like you're good to go. We never even knew that this was a thing.
Yeah, and
that they had to get new
I
beers
would love
approved.
to ask someone like Tim at Craft Life to see what
Yeah.
how does that really impact?
Well, so that's another thing. Is it just the beers that are in distribution through cans?
Which it may be,
Or is
and
it
again,
because if you're just pouring beer from your tap
right.
at your craft beer brewery, maybe that's not the problem, you know?
I don't think it is.
I think it's just if you're in distribution and you have new cans because they have to approve the artwork on the cans or something like that. I read.
And again, the article that I saw said that that was 60% of their calendar year was these first few weeks and months of the year was their 60% of their I don't know if it was growth plan or legitimately part of their business, expectation was these first few weeks and months. But for a guy like Craft Life, who doesn't have distribution, doesn't seek that as a revenue stream to sustain its business, I get that. But for people who do, for a brewery who does, take Coppertail, for example, and again, they're big, but they're not that big. If they relied on the first of the year, these 2 or 3 releases to sustain any chunk of their business, it could be detrimental. So that sucks,
Well, maybe this is a positive light on maybe we should be a little bit more laxed on some of the rules that we have. Like, I mean, to have to get a new beer approved, like, why do you have to do that? Maybe that's a better question we should be asking ourselves is, what is the point? I mean, if it's coming from a trustworthy source that's already been approved to brew beer and they've tested it, their systems are clean, nobody's getting sick from the beer, this, that, and the other. I don't think it has anything to do with that. But if it's a brand new innovative beer, why should a company have to pay a tax on that? We're already paying enough taxes. So I don't know. Any thoughts?
I mean, I
to
don't.
that side of the street.
Can't.
Let's dig a little deeper. Why do we have to get every brand new innovative beer that's in distribution tested and approved?
Well, I feel like you have to, right? Like you have to because that's just how it is. You can't just be like, "Hey, I'm going to bring a brand new hot dog to market" with skipping the, is it FDA? I don't know who the hell governs hot dogs.
Well, that would be FDA, but sometimes questioning things is not a bad idea. Sometimes saying, "Hey, you're affecting my business. I already pay you guys alcohol and tobacco tax."
I'm gonna speak on behalf of the hot dog industry, and there in fact is no hot dog tax, but it's been talked about, tossed around a little bit. Poor choice of words there.
Those wieners are pissed.
Anyway, look, guys, I'm just trying to play catch up here.
We've floated around some meaty discussion.
All right.
Please, Ryan, don't relish in these bad jokes. Let's just continue moving.
Yeah, let's go back to what you've been saying.
Oh my God, the worst.
I'm trying to figure out how to put mustard into this, and
I don't know. I was stuck on mustard too. I'm not sure why. Mustard's
honestly,
a bad one to rhyme
guys,
with.
Mustard's a bad one. I was gonna say I mustard messed up somewhere along the line here. It's about the only thing.
No, that was actually pretty good. That was a double. No.
Nah, how about you just chili dog, all right? Yeah, that was real bad too, but chill dog didn't really work.
Let's all chill besides
Ryan's dying.
No, he's chill by sides the point.
Nope. Stop. You can't use the same one I tried to use, dude.
It was a kielbasa reference, thank you.
No, I just don't think that's not how the God damn it.
That's not how this works.
You gotta leave this in. Okay. This is the real.
It's not how these buns work.
No, you already used buns too. I'm cut. This is real bad.
You can't cut the best part of the show out.
Ryan, can you continue? I really feel like you were on a roll.
So maybe stuff like this maybe the alcohol and tobacco. Shorten your name first off, okay? AATTTB, whatever. Cut your name. Just make it an acronym. Just change your name, then we'll pay you taxes. But maybe we should cut some things out. Like this is the whole point of laissez-faire is not to be totally involved with the approval of these types of things. You already have a brewery that's established. They're already paying tax. Like I think that maybe we can fix that so that this isn't an issue moving forward if there should ever be another government shutdown or something to this. Whatever I was going to say.
No, I get you. I totally understand. I
forgot what I
no,
was
you're
saying.
saying it's a little bit much, and I get that, but
It's a little
I feel
much,
like
yeah.
okay, well this is a very absurd like example though because it doesn't always happen to be.
Oh, I
Go
remember
ahead.
why. Okay. So I did have a conversation, and I didn't know this, but I had a conversation with a brewer a little while back, and if you so let's take the High Life. Comes in 7.5 is on the can. If they brew a batch of High Life and it comes in at 7.2 or even 7.3, or let's say it comes in at 7.7 or 7.8, no, it's within 2 points differential. Um I believe it's 2 points if I remember correctly. They cannot legally distribute that beer anymore. They have to dump the entire batch. They cannot sell it because the alcohol, fuck, whatever that is, the trade bureau, we'll shorten it to that. That's one of their laws is that there has to be within a close percentage of what's on the can or what you've already said this beer is. They have to drop the whole
I
thing.
get
So
that though.
that I
Yeah.
could see. I get that. I don't get a new beer's come out and it's ready to go, and I don't know. That I don't get.
I mean, do you
So
not remember the romaine scare
this I don't.
of 2000 of late 2018? Like we were just there, man. Like just because you're a farmer who says you can make romaine and you have made romaine, if it's getting
Yeah,
everybody E. coli,
actually we did.
stop. If nobody's regulating it, like there's a problem there, dude.
Well, they were playing the market. I mean, it's smart to do so.
Didn't we
Yeah.
say Kale was
We
behind that
did,
though?
no,
I
actually.
mean,
But croutons, they were on both sides. Croutons had nothing to do
Yeah.
with it.
I don't know.
So
I don't know, guys. That bit was
Dude,
starting to grow on me.
I mean,
They
I would
were.
have as well. I get it. It was really iceberg.
They're just sitting
Yeah,
back eating
it
carrots.
was all
and-
iceberg. That's what I think. Iceberg and kale were like, yes. We're not doing this again.
Those are my specialties. Yeah.
All right.
If there's one thing the people that love this show and podcast can count on, it is the puns when it comes to hot dog buns and salads.
We do toss some good salads and hot dog
Oh,
jokes.
That's
Just let me
uncalled
finish.
for.
God, I was just trying to.
I cannot share this with anybody.
No,
work with.
why are you sharing it with the workforce?
Yeah. Wait. I
Anyway,
just play it as loud as I can in my cubicle, and I hope everyone else enjoys it. I'm just joking. I have an office with a roof.
well, that was good. That is all the news we had from the beer side here. We are moving on to the geek news, one of our other favorite.
Oh, wait, I got one more question.
Go ahead.
I got one more question. As soon as the government shutdown ends and all these beers become available, there's going to be an expansion of beer just blowing into the market. My prediction, and they're all going to be just like fire sale, just sell. So, buy your beer because they're going to have to sell it really quick to move on to the next batches of
Do you think?
beer.
Do you think
Just
that's
throwing
what's
that
going to
out there.
happen from a sustainability standpoint, though, from a brewery that wants to recoup their losses, their 500 barrels, or the distributor that actually has to take
Absolutely,
that beer?
because they've got to distribute it very quickly, make up whatever they can, and move on. Those 500 barrels that this guy's sitting on of these beers, he can't put any new beers in, so he's got to move those as fast as possible
You also can't.
and get everything going
You
up. He
can't
can't
distribute
brew
beer
anything.
that's close
but-
date, though. You can't do that. That's also against the rules.
Though those can sit in the barrels.
Not necessarily,
That beer could sit in the barrel. It's not bottled.
but if it sits in a barrel, it will still have a shelf life.
Not necessarily.
Oh, jeez, he was just waiting on that.
mean,
gee.
Anyways, what?
God damn softballs. I don't know.
I get what
maybe
you're trying to
just
say. I get what you're trying to say.
my-
I think that
Yeah.
there's a bigger problem there, and it's just highlighting that this government shutdown doesn't only affect the government employees and the government, the parks, and the whatever this stuff that
Yeah.
we as general consumers think. It affects bigger, broader implications on bigger pieces of industry than we even fathom. So that was the point behind bringing it up in this particular segment. But
No, I agree.
we have to move on.
I
'Cause
agree.
again, we have some very
We do.
serious stuff to get to,
We do.
and we got to move on to our geek news section. Drink it on in, send it on back. First thing, just very quickly, has anybody else watched the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer? If out there you have not, it is great. You should watch it. Boys, did you see it?
yes.
Nope.
Okay, half. I'll take that.
That's
Klaus, what'd you
technically
think?
1/3.
All right. Yeah, it's true. What do you think, Klaus?
So actually, it was a little confusing, if I'm completely honest, for the first half, and then the second half. I don't want to do any spoilers, but it certainly validated the Spider-Man ride at Universal
Yeah.
Studios, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Did you get that there was a Waterman, a Sandman? I mean, it's no
All
spoiler.
right.
It's just a
Well,
trailer, so
yeah, okay.
whatever.
Guess it's not a spoiler then. There was a water guy.
There was a water guy, sand guy, and a different like a rock
Well,
man. I don't
yes, there
remember.
was a rock man, and then it got real weird, like towards the very end of it. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I did enjoy, like, once I got past the initial, like, first couple of seconds of the trailer, I was like, all right, this is I can relate to this a little bit. I've ridden the ride a couple times. Like, yeah, I like it.
I just thought it was pretty good. I can't figure out, which the internet can't as well, where this movie is in the timeline. And there's been hints that it's before the Endgame Affinity, Avengers Affinity, whatever. There's hints that it could be after. I don't know. But they showed his passport. Ryan, when he watched the trailer, they show his passport. And the funny thing about his passport is there's no date on it. So it's like totally fake and made up passport, or there's just they obviously bleeped out the date, the year, which Marvel has done many times before. Example one, Hulk, that they put in the trailer and was never there in the movie. Yeah, other examples, very similar, but overall I'm excited for it. So Lost Man.
Initially I did not. I hated Homecoming. I thought it was dumb.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It's very non-rememberable for
Yeah.
me. I didn't love it, didn't hate it, didn't remember it at all.
It's garbage, in my opinion, just because it's through the lens of, like, the Blair Witch camera guy. But it is whatever. I mean, some people liked it. I didn't like it, but the Avengers Infinity War kind of brought it back. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm starting to like this guy. And then this new trailer gives me a little bit of hope. So hopefully it turns out good.
I agree. So Ryan, check it out. Yeah, check it out. But speaking of Ryan checking things out, you saw the Dragon Ball movie.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So
Yes.
we are running very low on time, but please give us a couple minutes here on what your take was and who it's for and you and Dane's experience. First off, did it get ruined in the bathroom for Dane?
No, and we made sure of that. Actually, that was one of our topic of conversations starting out. Was reminding Dane, to bring earplugs and things like that. But no, fortunately, nobody there said anything, even if they had seen it prior to going into the show. Plus, there was only one showing, so there was nobody going out to ruin it for Dane. So
that's fantastic news.
It was. But the overall movie experience, we had awesome seats. It was a packed theater. It was so invigorating. It was like a stadium of people watching this thing that we've all grown up with, that we all are fans of. Some people dressed up in cosplay,
like Star Wars,
basically like Star Wars,
but not Star Wars,
and
like Pokemon,
but not Pokemon.
Oh,
even though they did show the preview for the new Pokemon Pikachu Detective, whatever. But still, we're all cheering at certain parts of the film, and it was invigorating and clapping, and like every transformation, it was crazy. So, boys, where would you like me to start with my review? Do you want me to? I mean, I'll try not to sell too many.
Yeah, you
at the end,
you
please.
Probably should have been done with it by now.
No, I can't.
Due to our lack of time.
Brian, we've got. Hold this. You got 5 minutes. You just give us the.
All right. Well, we get more introduction into the backstory, which most Dragon Ball Z fans and super fans know what the backstory is with Frieza, how he comes into power over the Saiyan race, and then he hears this backstory of the legendary Super Saiyan, and he gets scared, so he wipes out all the Saiyan race. Well, in that time, there is
is it animated or is it
no?
live
This is
action?
anime, so it's all anime.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Which the style of anime that they did for this particular film was different than what we've seen in shows and what we saw in the Dragon Ball Super saga, which was amazing, and I'll get into that in a second too. So anyway, back to what I was saying. There is a Saiyan. His name is Paragus. He has a son named Broly, and Broly's in his incubator of sorts. And King Vegeta gets pissed off, sends Broly out to another world because Broly's stronger than his son Vegeta. Which, if you guys know anything about Dragon Ball Z, you know Vegeta becomes Goku's.
Yeah, I've ordered a fajita before.
Okay. You're not the first person to have said that, last man. I promise you that. Uh,
So you're listening to what I'm saying, huh?
I am. Yes, I am.
Oh, you missed that
I
one.
did. Well, my brain can't keep up right now.
Sorry, dude.
So Paragus goes after him. They get stranded on this desert world. Years later, Frieza comes back, of course, kills all the Saiyans, and then we fast forward into present time, post everything. So what happens is Frieza's back looking for the Dragon Balls. He comes and starts heading back to Earth because that's where the Dragon Balls are. At the same time, this warrior spaceship of Frieza's finds Broly and his father Paragus, and they're like, "Oh my God, you guys are Saiyans!" And they bring them on board, and they take him to Frieza, and Frieza's like, "Yeah, let's go to Earth, and you can fight the Saiyans, and we can see how strong your son Broly is." So that's how they get to the fight itself. There's a lot of other little things that go on. I won't give too much away there, but the fight scenes, the animation of this movie was absolutely spectacular. The only way to describe it is just to go and see it yourself. I think you would actually be captivated by it. And the fight scenes and the animation and the color schemes and everything. It was just totally entrancing.
It's the same animation style they had, right? Like from back in the
No.
day. It looked very similar.
They blended it with
Okay,
modern day
okay.
technology.
Okay, got it.
So it takes you
Like a
to a
2D,
whole other level.
3D kind of,
Oh, I don't.
not 3D, but
It's incredible. It's
yeah.
entrancing.
It
It's
actually,
incredible.
I just watched the trailer where you were talking about it. It looks really good.
It's.
Yeah.
I mean, on the big screen, it was awesome. Like I said, it was fun to be in a room full of people that love the same shit you do. You
Yeah.
know, and you guys, you can talk to anybody about it. Whether, just like you go into a craft beer bar and you can talk to anybody about craft beer for the most part, and they know what they're talking about. But nobody's a Dragon Ball Z snob or anything like that. We were just all there because we were anticipating this, and you know, I we weren't around during the '70s when everybody was going to all the Star Wars films when they first came out, this, that, and the other. So I mean, I could picture it and liken it to that
Yeah.
moment, and just a totally awesome time. And that's in short my review without giving too much away.
Well, it sounds
from the ending.
Yeah, it sounds great, and it sounds like if anybody else is even remotely a Dragon Ball fan, they should check it out. But I'm sure.
Oh my gosh!
Again,
yes.
it's on their radar if they are.
It's done. I forget how much money it's done in the U.S. in 2 days, but like $10 or $15 million. On small scale. It's not getting a full length, feature. Hey, this movie's out in theaters. Come see it. Like you literally have to search and like want to find this movie to go watch it. And they actually had another showing in another theater at the same exact time because they sold out. So they're like, well, fuck, we'll just show it at another theater at the same exact time. So there was just, I'd say 300 people there at this one theater last night just coming to see this show.
So it is pretty unique because internationally the Broly movie made 53 million. And that's not super substantial. Like Venom, I think, made like 60 or 70 domestic, so domestic USA. But this is a anime movie, which to your point, Ryan, didn't have. I never saw a trailer or a commercial or a billboard ad or nothing for it. So the fact that a Dragon Ball movie using a very similar art style from what we all grew up on in the 90s gross almost $60 million internationally, and that 30 million of that is from Japan. But where anime is, regular thing, here being so foreign and so different and so nostalgic to still make 60 million internationally, I think that's pretty impressive. Obviously,
it's only been released for 2 days in the
right,
U.S.
and obviously it's not like it cost them 60 million to make. I mean, it probably did cost a pretty penny, but I guarantee the release versus the investment is probably going to bode pretty well for them.
Exponential, absolutely. And to your point, Donnie, we as like how you follow Star Wars and you find the most random things for Star Wars, or you want to get the first scoop. Dragon Ball Z fans, we're the same way. We thrive for this. We want more shows, and now we see where. Okay, I can talk a little bit more. See, Broly was a non-canon character. Okay, they've made movies about Broly before, and Broly died 3 times. So without giving anything away, We don't see that in this film, and we see where it's going to lead into more of the future of Dragon Ball Super.
Sounds like you
And
gave
I might have
all of that away.
given away too much there.
No,
but now Broly is canon. Broly was never canon, but people love the character. So throughout this whole saga of Dragon Ball Super, they've found a way to bring Broly into the timeline of Dragon Ball that everyone loves and make him canon, which I think was seamless, and it was the perfect time to do it. That's really the biggest part of this whole film, is bringing Broly into the mix. That's really it.
so who the hell is Broly though? That's I still don't get that part.
Broly was, like I said, Broly was Paragus' son that was born the same time as Vegeta, 5 years
Okay.
roughly
Got it.
earlier than Kakarot, which is Goku.
Got it.
So King Vegeta got pissed off because Broly, a lower level Saiyan, was stronger than his son and wanted to basically excommunicate him to a world that really they would never sell. The Saiyans took over worlds and sold them for profit for for Frieza, basically. So in that's how he got excommunicated, but he lived, he survived, he grew up on this far distant planet, and that's where so Paragus wanted to take out revenge on King Vegeta, and he didn't know that the Saiyans had been completely wiped out. So that's why they went to Earth, was to take revenge out onto Vegeta, and then we get the story.
Got it.
So
No, I got it. Yeah, and that's where the trailer kind of progressed. So I understand that now. I just didn't know who Broly was. That's good. I got it.
So, and that's similar to the non-canon movies, but they made it segue to a better version, and it's going to catapult the rest of what we're going to see in Dragon Ball Super, because there are more episodes coming out later this year for a whole new arc, which is going to be incredible. So there's my breakdown. I think I went over my 5 minutes. Before we move on, I just want to. Well, actually, Donnie, go ahead and introduce the next segment, and then I want to read something about the next segment, but not really about the next segment. So go
all right.
Sorry.
Well, again, we're going to try and keep this to 5 minutes too, and I'm holding us at that. So we've got 5 minutes here to talk about this, but just because everybody and their mom is talking about this Darth Vader fan film, and since we are talking in our Geek News segment here about, various films and whatnot, it's very relevant that we talk about this. If you haven't seen it, if you've been living under a rock for the last 2 weeks, this is a 16-minute segment that was a fan film that folks are saying, first off, it was put out by Star Wars Theory, which is a YouTube channel, and that's it. Not a production studio, not anything else, but it's a professional YouTuber that decided he really wanted to tell a story of Darth Vader that hasn't been told before. So it's called Vader Episode 1, Shards of the Past. You could also just literally Google Darth Vader or Vader fan film and you'd find it. But it takes place about 8 months after Episode 3. So what is that? Revenge of the Sith. It's very interesting. And it starts off in a very interesting way. It starts off in a way that with Force Awakens and the newer Disney movies, you think, man, this was not a Disney version of this, because it gets pretty intense very quickly. And I don't know, Ryan, if you want to intervene here somewhere, but I just want to go through the whole point, the story plots of this thing as to why we're talking about it. It's a fantastic, it's a fantastic video. Check it out. It's again only 16 minutes, and it tells the Vader story that you wanted to see. It shows a couple things that you didn't see before and you'd love to see, and it was very well done. The biggest thing here is that the creator contacted Lucasfilm and was like, listen, this is what I want to do. And he got the clearance. He said, okay, if you follow these guidelines, don't monetize, don't crowdfund. You have to spend, quote unquote, your own money. You can't ask for money, and you can't monetize this once it comes out. Okay, got it. I just want to make it as a passion project. Perfect. The movie came out. It got 7 million views within like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 7 million views. So the Warner Chappell, the publishing company who handles Walt Disney World's music and publishing, put a copyright claim on that movie about 3 weeks after it came out. The funny thing is, 3 weeks after it came out, they put a copyright claim on it. They had a copyright claim on the video itself, which they told the creator himself he could not do. And they told him that if he did not do that, he would be okay by Lucasfilm. They made $80,000 within 3 days. The fourth day came along, and Lucasfilm came back. So again, Warner Chappell is the publishing company of the music from Disney. Lucasfilm came back and said, "Listen, lift the freaking strike off this guy. You can't do that. He followed the rules. He obeyed what we asked him to do, and we're going to give him the rights to the movie back." Now, the movie is still not, or the channel is still not monetized, but at least this way, the ban has been lifted so that Warner Chappell, who again is the publishing company of Disney, is no longer claiming a copyright on this movie, on this film. So it's just been a whirlwind over this fan film for the last week or so. But the main discussion, the question I have for you guys is, if you watch this here, do you think this is better or worse, or has something to show against what Disney's been producing over the last few years, ever since The Force Awakens? So the floor is yours, but I wanted to bring that up because it's very interesting. And $80,000 after like 3 days. Crazy.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to this because, and again, to anybody who's not watched it, I'm not going to go too far into depth, but you can tell there are a few deficiencies that you would see, common in any sort of fan reproduction or creation or whatever of some sort of fan interpretation of the Star Wars, stories and whatnot. But I mean, overall, I really enjoyed it. You can kind of see that the things that they struggled on were the things that any big, production company would be like, they wouldn't bat an eye about building a room or CGIing something like that. And you can tell that's not in the budget for this film. But really, really good stuff. I'm a huge fan, actually. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was, amazing, but better than The Force Awakens? Yeah, I would probably roll with that. Absolutely. Production quality? No, but content quality, yeah, and the arc of it, like it. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
I feel the same as you, Laos, man. I was in trance. So, Donnie, I'm one of those people that was living under a rock the last 2 weeks till you sent me that link.
And I agree with you. I mean, a lot of people were, but again, this budget was $150,000. So let me just leave it at that. And The Force Awakens, just so you're, in case you're keeping score at home, kids, $306 million was the budget for The Force Awakens.
When you spend $150,000 and you expect nothing in return
of your own money,
you've got something to fucking say.
Right.
And he said it. He truly said it.
Time.
Like I felt connected to the character of Darth Vader more than I had in any film. And I felt more struggle to within, and I liked the way that he tied in, because you didn't really get a lot of past of Darth Vader in now 4 through 6, but the original 3, compared to when you see him as Anakin, you don't really make those connections. So I really felt like, man, you can sense his struggle. Like you're almost rooting for him, even though he's the villain. It was really intense. Like Lausman was saying, I was entranced, man. I loved it.
Well, speak about intensity. So, and again, this is one thing, and call it a spoiler if you want. It's on YouTube, and again, it's not monetized and it's free to watch. So whatever. But I love the fact that Disney, and I don't know if this was a jab, and you can listen to A Rule of Two, which is a Collider podcast, and they basically they interviewed the creator of this, and they asked him. They said, what was that all about? That one scene, because one of the coolest scenes in The Force Awakens is when Kylo Ren's standing there in the very beginning. One of the people in the village shoot a laser blast at him. I think it was it Poe? I don't know if it was Poe. I don't remember. I'd have to look back, but he gets a laser blast shot right at his head, and he stops it midair. And then they knock out the guy and they take him away. And I think it was Poe, actually.
Mm-hmm. It was Poe.
Yeah, I think so. So that's cool. But it's like Kylo Ren worships Darth Vader. Then you see in this video that the clone troopers, which again executed perfectly, wonderfully, are shooting at him, trying to take him down. And they come back with literally like chain guns, and they're just, and he stops about 1,000 bullets midair while he's choking out the Emperor, and then he shoots him back at him and murders everybody in the room. I was like, that is incredible, and that's the kind of Vader stuff that I've loved, and I loved it in Rogue One, and I would love it if we could see that in a feature length film. So that's the part of it that really hit with me.
I love that scene. I was blown away by that scene. Actually, I thought it was awesome. Actually, the entire fight scene between Vader and the Emperor was amazing too. Just going back at it, like it reminded me a lot of Dragon Ball Z. Just
Yeah, they were going crazy. One of the craziest parts about it, though, is that they made Vader left-handed. Like he was fighting with his left hand, which was odd.
I didn't catch that.
And when they talked about it in the interview, they basically said, well, the way we built the set is, again, limited budget. If we had him fight with his left hand or right hand, which he did in A New Hope and every other Star Wars movie, you would have only been staring at his back. So they're like, well, we had to make an executive decision, and we just put the lightsaber in his left hand. Cool. So that kind of takes you out of it a bit, but it's kind of interesting to peek behind the curtain on that. So
I gotta say, my favorite part is, I mean, I enjoyed all the things you guys kind of talked about, but way more than that, I was just enthralled with sort of the smaller details. So the choice of, they showed, well, again, you guys kind of already did all the spoilers, but they used Venerator class Star Destroyers, which was like interesting because you don't usually.
I didn't even catch that.
Oh yeah, they were Venerator class, so like they were the old school. They were the Clone Wars style.
But that would have fit the timeline of being 8 months after.
And that's a really small detail. Yeah. Okay. But I was like, what? Like you never see that. Like you see Anakin in the Venerator class. You don't see Darth Vader in the Venerator class. So it is that awkward transition, and it is. I mean that right there spoke a lot, and that was like a stupid little detail. But another thing is, like, they did use for the I guess it would be the second generation clone armor and whatnot. So the second generation clones, I think, is what it was.
I did notice that.
Yeah, so they had the second generation clone armor and the second generation clones, I believe, is the correct terminology. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they use that, and then they had a lot of like their common like speak that they would have from the video games, which is really cool because somebody, like me who prefers stormtroopers and stuff like that, that's why I watch these movies, is like because of that whole progression. It was really cool. Like they did a lot of like little small details that were just, all about the stormtroopers and how they communicate, and like, not really this like proper British person talking about stuff. It was more like the same Australian guy that we're used to, or he's not Australian, but he kind of has a twang to it. But
I noticed too when they were trying to take him down, like keep firing, and it was the guys were just falling down. There was like char and burn holes in their helmets and stuff, and they were like keep firing. Like it was it reminded me of playing the good Star Wars Battlefront game, which was the one that came out like on regular Xbox, not the Battlefront 2, like the original Battlefront.
The Xbox 360 you're talking about.
Yeah, 360. Right. That's what it reminded me of, just because of the amount of limited dialogue there was. But when you heard it, it was very genuine, and they had the scream, and they had everything. So that's really all I had about it. But Ryan, I just wanted you to touch on if you thought that was overly great or very concerning that Disney claimed it then not claimed it, and I don't know. It's just a cool story.
It's a cool story and a great way to present Vader, and that end scene. Man, I just wanted more. Like I wanted so much more than what I got.
You notice they said it was the amethyst. It's Mace Windu down there in that hole. Just so you know, Sam Jackson is the one that's down there in that hole. Yeah. Who, if you remember correctly, in the second, was it the third episode or the second episode?
I thought he was already done.
Well, that's what happens. He got his hand cut off, and then he got thrown out a window by the Emperor. So he's still putzing around down there, and that was the whole premise of the story. They're like, we want a Vader story, but what happened if Mace Windu came back? And that's what started the whole thing. So. And that's who's in that, and you can tell it's him because he's the only Jedi that has a purple saber that we know of, at least in recent movie lineage. So, yeah.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Very good. But on that note, we've plain done run out of time. So, boys, I don't want to keep us up any longer than we need to be. But do you have any final thoughts on this? Overall, my thoughts. I love it. I think it's great. I can't wait for episode 2. This debacle of Disney's publishing company, claiming it, then releasing it because Lucasfilm told them to. This guy ponying up cash, not being able to recoup any of that. 7 million views. I mean, I think this thing is going to be huge. And as long as they play by the rules set by Lucasfilm, why not, right? Let them do it. Let's see what they come up with. And maybe this guy gets to produce or be a part of a future Star Wars endeavor. And if he is, power to him. That's all I have to say.
The darker side of the dark side.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm
not sure.
Funny. That was funnier in my head.
It was way funny out loud, actually.
It sounded great.
I mean, it was so much darker than what we've got in the last 2 movies.
Oh,
It's
Ryan,
true.
That's
It's
your
true.
contrast. You got to turn that up when you're on a laptop.
Jeez. All right, boys. Anything else before we put a close to this? Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for the great conversation here. Where can the good kids find you, Mr. Lausman?
I can be found, as always, at Mr. Lausman on Twitter.
And Broodboy813, where can the good kids find you?
Yes, at Broodboy813 on Instagram and Twitter. And you can also hit us up on the Craft Brews and Geek News Facebook page. So just send us a request if you haven't done so already, and answer a few questions or whatever you want to do there, and then just maybe I'll accept you.
I'll definitely accept you. We love that group, and I
Yes,
think
we
we're almost up to 100 members there, and it has just been a great time. Everybody's been really contributing well in dialogue, and people are friendly, and it's just a great place to hang out, talk Star Wars, talk beer, really mainly beer. It's a lot of beer talk, a lot of geek news. I mean, Craft Brews and Geek News, not sure what you're expecting, but that's what you're going to get. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. You can find me on Brewmasters Club on Twitter. Or Craft Brews Geek News on YouTube. We also have our Patreon, Craft Brews Geek News, that we are kicking off and kicking up. So there'll be new stuff coming through the Patreon there. Check us out. There's not a ton of content on there right now. We're just getting that network started, but trust us, once we get going, we'll have a good time. We have Florida Craft Beer Day coming to Craft Life Brewing in Land O'Lakes. If you're not familiar with the place and you're in Tampa or close by, please Google it. Waze it, Apple Maps it, whatever you want to do, but get on up there on February 15th. It's a Friday, so it's a nice night to party. It's a wonderful brewery. Tim's got some fantastic beer that we're going to highlight. It is going to be a great time. Check us out there. And if you want to contribute to the show, please just contact us via the Facebook group, as Ryan mentioned. It's just Craft Brews and Geek News on Facebook, or use the hashtag Brewmasters Club Cast. We'd love to chat with you guys. And Ryan, as we say at the end of every episode,
Ka May.
Yes.
Ha May.
Oh my God, that is it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
You've been listening to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Grab a beer with the guys and be sure to subscribe to catch additional content. Add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. Chat with the guys on Twitter at Brewmasters Club and Facebook and online at www.brewmasters.club. Cheers!